Okay, we're in. All right. Do you guys want to do some like
Witty banter?
witty banter? We should probably do some witty banter.
How much recording time do you have, Alex?
As big as my hard drive.
No, I mean, like, how long? Does it say how long we've been talking?
I can't read time. Greetings and fist bumps. This is the Raised Eyebrow podcast, where we discuss how people just peopling can make it weird to be a person sometimes. But somebody's got to do it. We are your hosts, Kojo, Mike, and Alex. And in this episode, we'll discuss whether bandwagon fans are good for your favorite sports team. Allow me to elaborate. Every team goes through its great years and its losing ones. During the losing years, the real fans show up. No argument there. But once the team signs a couple of good players and is in a championship hunt, suddenly everyone's a fan. So what do we do about bandwagon fans? Are they good for the team, a necessary evil, or just plain annoying?
Plain annoying.
Okay, that's pretty abrupt, yeah. Like, okay. Yeah, no, they're annoying.
agree.
We're done.
Just kick them up on the street.
Matter resolved.
Podcast over now.
And that's it for this week's episode of the Raised Eyebrow podcast.
So, I have a question for you guys. Do you think bandwagon fans know that they're bandwagon fans? Like, do they have self-awareness about their bandwagon-ness? Or is it just like, hey, shiny, popular trend going on, I have to join that?
That's kind of
I
interesting.
just find it very interesting. Like, you meet someone on the street and all of a sudden they're a fan of a team and they keep saying all these stats. They know everything about the team now. They know, like what they ate for breakfast and what they, it's like it's like one of those people.
Yeah.
Annoying.
Oh, yeah.
Like, are bandwagon fans self-aware? Like, are they sentient?
Do they know that in the grand scheme of the team's history, they know nothing?
No.
As an example, I consider myself a pretty loyal Raptors fan. And when they had their playoff run in 2019, I found myself in office discussions and people just, doing the witty banter about the local sports team. And they would argue that, they lost the last game because they didn't hit enough 3-pointers. And
right.
Are you some grand genius? You're literally saying that the other team scored more points, so they lost. Like, what a strategic insight you have there, sir.
Yeah.
My assessment of yesterday's game was that they lost because they didn't score enough points.
Like, wow.
Wow. Like,
yeah, so,
you should apply to TSN or ESPN.
Yeah. I find it's pretty much like, it's easy to talk about the actual, or he should have kicked it to the left or to the right. He should have headed it, than to actually do it. Because usually when you're doing something, perhaps, the decision making at that point, wouldn't work, or maybe it didn't come to you as quick, so then you made a mistake. But then the people who are watching are like, why did he do that? Oh my God. Oh my.
Yeah.
If it was them on the field, they would probably do like better than the actual professionals.
Oh, for sure. Like, I mean, because like if you have a player, like you could see the whole court or field or ice surface or whatever it's on. Like, you see the whole thing as a fan watching it on TV. They only see what's in front of them, right? And sometimes there's other players in front of them, depending on what they're doing. So they like their viewpoint of what's actually happening and where they need to go, and the fact that this other guy on the other side of the field is wide open. They don't know that because there's like all these people around them and all this commotion, and they're focused on that. So yeah, it's like you need to like understand the game and kind of go through like just watching it and learning it before you can really make any kind of objective opinion about what should happen.
I think you're bang on. I think it often takes years to get to that point. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a game and you've seen like the old guy in the corner, like really observing the game. You know what I mean? Like analyzing things. He doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He'll clap for like a good play. You know, I think real fans, they get to that level after many years of seeing the ups and downs.
Mm.
You know, not just from 2 weeks of watching a great highlight from some new new player on their team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, they're bandwagon fans are like annoying, and I think we all can agree there. And it's like they show up to the games or they're wearing the merchandise, which is okay, sure, but they really don't know nothing about it. They don't really know more than three players, and they're only really cheering for the team because they're good now. It's like the end of the season. It's like the final 3 weeks of the season, and they're in a playoff spot, and now they're a fan, right? And they're just learning about basketball, and the Raptors are making a playoff run, or who's good now? Like, I don't know, the Sixers or 76ers are doing pretty well. So, now everyone's a 76ers fan in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think there's something about like the being on a winning team, which is exciting.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm trying to think back to like this phenomenon of like super teams, right? Like I could think back to the Yankees. Like they've always had the money. In European soccer, all these like giant corporations would buy like Manchester United. I think Manchester United was the first corporate soccer team.
Right.
The English Premier League, which has maybe 6 teams. Some would argue even less than that are you can't compete with them because they just have money, right? In basketball, you would have the first super team was LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. They joined the Miami Heat, and everyone kind of found themselves like, yeah, I'm a Miami Heat fan now overnight. Like, what do you mean you're a Miami Heat fan? You don't get to cheer for, just these dominant monsters, Space Jam style.
Yeah. In Ghana, for instance, we have local soccer teams, and then you have the Arsenal and the Liverpool. And it gets to a point where there are people who would die for Arsenal.
Yeah.
In Ghana. Like they've never even met any of the players before.
Yeah.
And they're like hardcore, die hard. Like they would not eat. The last game, which was Liverpool and Arsenal.
Yeah, that was today.
And my friend's dad is Liverpool, and Arsenal is my friend's team. So the dad is Liverpool, and I'm like, why did you pick a team against your dad? Like, what are you guys going to talk about? Like, it's going to be war at your house. And then it's like, yeah, my dad like called me today to like kind of like pull my leg. It's amazing. Like, how, I don't know what you call it, but it's like the love for the team. But these people are hardcore teams. I wouldn't consider them as bandwagon in a way, but
they're real fans.
Yeah, they're true fans.
They're real fans. And then there are other people who just, maybe because the jersey looks cool, they just wear it to just look cool on the street.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with cheering for like a big club. If you're a genuine fan and you've been following them for years, like an Arsenal or Liverpool or Manchester. And like, I guess the real question here is like, what if you were a Manchester United fan back when they had Beckham, and then you were a kid at the time and you started cheering for Man U because Beckham was on the team? And here we are, like, 20 years later, something like that? Like, it was in the 90s, I think he played for them.
Yep.
And you're still a Man U fan, and you've been a Man U fan the entire time, all through the Rooney years, and then when Rooney left, and, now when Ronaldo's back. You were a bandwagoner fan in the beginning, but because you stuck with the team through all those years, which most of them were pretty good years. I mean, Man U fans may say otherwise, but objectively, they were pretty good years. Like, are you still a bandwagon fan? When do you not become a bandwagon fan? If you join as one?
I think to answer your question, I think probably you start as a bandwagon fan and then you become a hardcore fan because your friend was in it and because you wanted to fit in that group, you join in. And then over time, you get to kind of stick with them.
Yeah.
I think it's important to distinguish when someone is interested in watching the team. Like when the Raptors sucked, for instance, and someone was interested in the Raptors, it was kind of flattering for me. Like, okay, like I like the Raptors too. Let's talk about this. Like, I want to teach you. But I think it's the arrogance of suddenly liking the best team because you watched the last 2 weeks of the playoffs and they had made it entertaining and all that good stuff. Sure. But like now you don't get to brag about it almost. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like it's okay to admit that you're interested in watching the team and you'd like to be a fan. And asking questions is a good thing. But real fans love to blab on and show their pride. But faking knowledge is kind of a bad look around real fans, right? They can smell it.
Yeah.
They can sniff it out.
Yeah. Like, weren't you like you were a bandwagon fan technically for the Raptors, but through the Vince Carter years. But you were a kid at the time, right?
I was a kid. I was.
Do you get a pass as a kid?
Years old.
Do kids get passes?
Well, it's funny because the Raptors weren't very popular when, like, I was an immigrant kid in Canada, and I wasn't, like, hockey didn't speak to me really. I wasn't a football guy, baseball, all the North American sports wasn't what I knew. So for me, it was soccer and basketball, and soccer, that wasn't a thing in Toronto. And, the Raptors were just kind of there, and this Vince Carter alien basketball player was just amazing to watch. So as a kid, you're like, wow, like, I love this, right? That's my team now. That's it. And so slowly you make friends and you get older, and more kids my age and older folks start to talk about this team, and it builds. But early on as a kid, it's just fun. It's just, and I think that's what sports should be. That's why bandwagon fans do join the best team, because the best team is fun to watch. So, okay, that's my team now.
Yeah. Like, do you think like maybe that's what prompts people to be bandwagon fans? Like, we're kids, like when you grow up, you watch someone like LeBron James now or Vince Carter back then, and he's doing like all these incredible dunks, and and then you get enthralled with that, and you kind of get sucked into the sport, and you start watching it, and cheering for that team and cheering for that player. But when we kind of get older, like objectively we're a little bit more rational, but it's easy to kind of get sucked into these fandoms as an adult. So it's kind of like, is it the fact that we're more mature now? Like, we should kind of, like, what is it about bandwagoners that kind of make them annoying, even though they're getting into it for the same reasons that everyone else does, really?
Because they haven't suffered. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think that's it too. Yeah. Yeah. You need to suffer. Yeah.
You got to suffer.
Right. The emotional,
the down
aspect of it.
You need to bleed for this club before you can cheer for this club.
Exactly. Because why do we love a sport so much? It's one of the only avenues in the world where it's the best performers, the best at their jobs win, right? There's no like equality in sports. There's no like wokeism. Oh, how come the other team has taller guys? Well, compete with them.
Just get taller guys on your team. Like,
exactly.
Problem solved.
Kill each other till the death, right? That's why we like gladiators and UFC and all those aspects of competition. It's pure competition, and you get to be a supporter of one side of the competition.
Right. I find usually when you're watching a sport or even playing a sport, sometimes you even take on the character of the player. So I'm LeBron James, and you become the identity. So anytime LeBron wins, you're winning too. When he loses, you lose.
Oh yeah.
So that whole identity aspect of being part of a team. For instance, being a Black person, you're walking on the street and there's a soccer going on. You could enter any pub in Toronto and say, for instance, you're like somewhere, it's like a white neighborhood. The moment you open the door, you're an outsider. But the fact that you're a part of the team, you are part of the family. You belong to the team. Like you belong to your family now. I've gotten jobs based on the fact that I was sitting next to someone and we were like, yo, embracing each other. And then you're like, yo, what do you do? Oh, I'm a designer. Oh, can you design this for me? From there, right? So I think it's a very interesting culture where, like, being part of a team, the winning team, can take you far in life. Yeah.
It's a community, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Alex, you gave me a book years ago. It was called
How Soccer Explains the World.
That's it, by Franklin Foer. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. So basically, it shows how soccer is a globalized business now, the globalization of the sport. But every local team is informed by the local culture. The local fandom informs the team, right? And so, like in England, or I think most places in the world, they say you don't choose your team; you're born into your team. So there's very much I think like a religious sort of element to that, right? Like a tribal essence to it. And as the world becomes more and more secular, we still need something to replace religion. We still need like institutions that are fun, not fun, but institutions that bring communities together. And sports is a perfect thing, right? Nobody has to die, so that's good.
Right.
But there is ultras culture, so there's still an element of like extreme hooliganism and all that good stuff.
Right.
It's a minority. It's a minority, but it still exists, right?
Yeah. Unless you're going to like a Rangers Celtic game.
Yeah. I'm not sure where I read this from, but something about sport is an organized warfare or something like that, where it's a way where we go to war without really people dying. I mean, people do die during sports sometimes, but
that's not the goal.
That's not the goal. But in a way, it kind of brings people together. Like even in South Africa, I think Nelson Mandela supporting the the rugby team kind of brought people together.
That was a strategy politically.
Yeah, the Springboks. Yeah, that was
right.
That was a good movie too.
Yeah, Invictus. Shout out Invictus.
Yeah, starring Matt Damon and
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan
the voice
Freeman.
Of God.
Yeah.
He's right up there with Morpheus.
Morpheus.
It's an inside joke for our listeners. Check out the pandemic episode.
We can insert the podcast here.
That's right.
Go back and listen to that podcast.
Yeah, unless if you started here, you have no idea what we're talking about.
Or you could join the bandwagon.
Yeah, join the bandwagon. Just go back, read history.
Exactly.
Hey guys, we have our first sponsor.
Oh, really? Who's that?
No, you have to play it like this. Who's that?
Who's the...
Guys, we only have a minute here. Okay, so because everybody has their own health plan or supplement these days, we're just going to have our own.
Right.
Yeah, so let me ask you, wouldn't you like to have this magical elixir that flushes toxin from your body, makes your skin glow, and keeps you hydrated, and so much more?
Isn't that just water?
Yeah, it's water. And for $0 a day, you can join our water encouragement subscription service.
Sounds neat. What other benefits do I get?
Wow, a little effort would help. Okay, did you know that water is vegan, GMO-free, it clears your skin, it's organic, it's also nut-free, gluten-free, and GMO-free. Oh, wait, I said that already.
I'm going to join in today. How do I get all these great health benefits?
Out of a tap.
Water subscription does not include water. You are responsible for getting your own water. We are not accountable for actual encouragement. Instead, listen to your body when you are thirsty. Just choose water instead of other stuff. Drinking water may cause choking. Cooking water and drinking is not recommended. Trying to drink water in slightly warm, room temperature, or slightly cold. If water is left outside when it is cold, it will freeze. If left outside on hot days, water will evaporate. Side effects may include peeing more and less yellow in your pee. Do not consume water before bed to avoid wetting the bed and causing awkward conversations with your partner. This may lead to divorce. Drinking too much water may cause bloating and peeing a lot. Don't panic, it'll pass. Just go to the bathroom. Please drink responsibly.
This Christmas when we went to Philly with my wife, we were purchasing something at a shop, and the lady goes, "Did you guys watch the game?" And I stood there for a second. I'm like, "What game is she referring to?" And like I was blank, and then my wife goes, "Oh no, we didn't." And then the conversation went from, well, she's trying to start a friendly, good morning, how is the weather kind of conversation.
Yep.
And it went from nothing to like, okay, let's change the topic kind of a thing. It's kind of awkward.
Yeah. I remember one time I was traveling in Washington, D.C., and we were going to Washington Nationals game, and I was wearing like a Nationals hat that I got at the game. And we're standing in the subway in Washington, and a guy just says like, he made like some comment about like, oh, those Nationals are like, they're not gonna make the playoffs, not this year, not next year. And I'm like, wait, what? Like they're not. I had to like think quickly. I'm like, yeah, bad management.
Like, yeah. We've all had those moments.
Yeah, it mistook me for Nats fan. I mean, honest mistake on his part, but
Happens.
here's a question for you though. So, are they a necessary evil though? Because like my favorite club is the Toronto FC, right? And they just signed Lorenzo Insigne, which basically is what triggered this whole topic of conversation. What and now you have a lot of people who are suddenly realizing that they're Toronto FC fans. Are they a necessary evil though? Because the amount of ticket sales that they're going to have when he comes in the summer and jersey sales and other merchandise and people going to the game and buying expensive beers and all that kind of stuff, all that money goes back to the club, right? So like as a fan, like I have season tickets since like 2015, right? So I mean I'll be there whether Lorenzo's there or not. They are bringing money back into the club, but the downside is that now I have to deal with these people because it's like they're all showing up and they only know this guy and they're all looking around like, where's Javinko? It's like, well, he hasn't been here for 4 years.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. He still lives in Toronto, but he's not part of the team.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah, they're a necessary evil. For sure. And that bandwagoner is going to bring his 10-year-old kid and you're going to have another generation of real fans, quote unquote.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like
it creates buzz for the team. It builds some sort of fan culture, and if the team's good for a couple of years and that new fan continues to watch, then hey, more fans, right? Like ultimately it is a good thing. It's just a matter of like sniffing out the nonsense and trying to stay away from it.
So it's not necessarily a necessary evil, it's an annoying evil that we have to as real fans we have to deal with them. But
you gotta deal with it. Just stay in your bubble, enjoy the atmosphere as best you can, enjoy the game.
Yeah,
right. It becomes a way to bring in income.
Exactly.
I guess
you'll get another good player down the line if you put up with enough bandwagon fans. So.
That's true. Yeah, you pay your dues. That's how you win championships. It's bandwagoners. Okay, so in terms of how to become a fan, so we have our 10 commandments of fandom. And if you follow these 10 commandments, then you can too become a fan yourself. All right, so let's do rule number 1.
Sure. So rule number 1, thou must cheer for a team for one losing season. Self-explanatory, right?
Yeah. You got to go through the thick. That sounds sexual.
Gotta go through the thick, everybody.
Yeah. You gotta pay your dues.
All right. Rule number 2: thou shalt watch the blowout against your favorite team until the bitter end of the game.
Yeah. Final seconds. You gotta be there for them, especially in football, right? Like proper football, soccer, right? Like every game, like they walk over to the supporter section and they clap, right? And they want to see the supporters there at the end of the game because that's what keeps them going for the next game so they can come back. That's why it's important to the team.
Sometimes you get to see like the players at the end of the bench get some playing time.
Yeah, exactly. You get to see like prospects come in. That's when you got to see like the bench depth, young players come in, and usually that kind of brings like a new level of excitement. Like you get a peek at the future of the club, right? And that player is going to be a regular starter in probably 1 to 2 years, and you're getting an early preview of that. So
or you find out if you have to trade them.
Or you find out you have to trade them. Yeah.
Get rid of this guy.
Yeah. So there are perks to sitting around to the end of the game. Rule number 3: thou shalt know more than 3 players. That's
big one.
Yeah, you can't have a good conversation about a sports team and only know LeBron, the other guy, and what is it, Davis, the other guy? Is that it? Is that the Lakers? Is Shaq still on the team?
Kobe.
Rest in peace, Kobe. You're the best. Peace, Kobe. I will always be a bandwagon fan for Kobe.
For sure. Rule number 4: thou shalt care about the farm team. Another big one. You got to support the up-and-coming junior team. They help feed the talent for the big team. You got to know about the prospects at least 1 or 2.
Like you don't have to watch every game, but like like know the high. Like you could be a bandwagon fan for your farm team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well said.
That's where it's acceptable.
I think it's kind of difficult. Usually because the farm teams are not well known
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
true.
people don't really invest in them as much.
It's a mark of a true fan, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's hardcore.
yeah,
The farm team, that's hardcore.
like especially in baseball, like if you can name the AAA, AA, A short season, A rookie ball, if you can name all those clubs, you're a fan.
Oh yeah, you get some sort of reward.
Yeah.
Okay, rule number 5. Thou shalt not claim to know what the team should do during the off season or trade deadline until they can name the entire squad.
Similar to the last one, or the
Yeah.
one before the farm team one, where you should know more than 3 players, but you don't get to make strategic plans until you can name more players than LeBron James.
Yeah, you can't tell the GM how to do his job when you can only name like LeBron James and it's Davis, right? Davis is on the team.
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis and the other guy. There's the other guy, right? Carmelo. Is
Yeah,
Carmelo on the team? Carmelo's on every team. He's
There's
like an
always-
honorary team member for everyone.
You're not a Lakers fan, clearly,
No,
but that's okay. You don't claim to be.
I don't claim to be. Yeah, like I mean, LeBron is an exceptional talent and he's incredible to watch. All right, rule number 6: Thou shalt follow the team all season, including preseason, not just during the playoffs. Right? Like if they make the playoffs, that's not the time to start cheering for them. You know, the drama, the beginning of the season, that optimism, riding the roller coaster, the playoff hunt, which is beginning earlier and earlier for a lot of leagues, which makes it even more exciting. And I just
The
draw,
COVID era.
yeah, it drags out the
Yeah.
drama.
You got to know how the team made it to the playoffs.
Exactly.
Some would argue that the playoffs is a real season, but nevertheless, you still got to do it. Rule number 7: Thou shalt not say, "I always knew this player was a good signing." Be honest, you didn't know who they were until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I've actually heard that before. I always knew it was a good signing. Like you just found out about this guy. Yeah. Or the funny one is like when someone's like, "Oh, I always knew he was a good signing." Like they didn't sign him; they drafted him. Like,
Right.
know the difference.
Those are so cringy. Or if they trade for a player and they don't even know how the player got there, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it hurts. It hurts.
And then weeks after when the player starts making these mistakes, then oh, he sucked. He's terrible. He's the worst.
Yeah,
Trade him.
get rid of him. Get rid of him. It's like
Team's 0-3. That's it. Season's over.
yeah. Oh, that's Toronto every year. Leaf fans.
Blow it up.
Like, oh man, they 2 losses and like all hell breaks loose. You know, it's like
It's over.
yeah. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. It's like you've had 2 losses.
Right.
Apparently, we rip on Leafs fans a lot in this one. Probably gonna lose a lot of Toronto-based fans.
It's an easy target.
They're an easy target. Yeah, win the cup and we'll stop ripping on you. It's just
I don't
that
claim
simple.
I don't claim to be a Leafs fan, so
No, that's true.
nor a bandwagon Leafs fan. So
Apparently, Leaf fans tend to be very strong.
They're very
Hardcore.
loyal. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
You
loyal
have to be.
fans. Yeah, well, they have to be. They haven't won since the '60s.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I feel for them.
it's
I
like a
feel for them.
lifetime.
It's like grown men will cry when the Leafs.
So
Yeah.
there are Leaf fans who've never seen the team win ever in their lifetime.
Yeah. Back in my day, the Leafs actually won the cup.
There are Leafs fans who are teenagers now who I don't think have seen the Leafs make it to the second round of the playoffs.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And they don't even have Ottawa standing in their way because they suck too. Like it usually was Ottawa always beating them. Even there, like, because the longest time it's like, well, as long as we don't play Ottawa, we're fine. Well, Ottawa's not in there anymore either, so
Not a problem.
don't think it was Ottawa.
All right, next
Anyways,
rule.
living in Toronto is either you're a Leaf fan or you hate on Leafs fans.
Pretty
Right.
It's pretty much the city itself. All
sums
right.
it up.
All right. Rule number 8.
Yeah.
Kojo,
Rule
that's
number
you.
8. Rule number 8. Thou shalt not have a backup team. You have one team per league.
I like that one. You don't
That's a
get to
solid
have
rule. Yeah.
like you get one team you follow, and then like maybe you keep up with what happens with other teams. Maybe you enjoy watching other teams, but you don't get to switch teams halfway through. Like, this is your team.
You go to coffee break, and then everyone is talking about, oh, do you watch the game? Oh my God, my favorite team won today.
Who would that be?
My favorite team is whoever won yesterday. But that's why you should be a soccer fan, though, because you have La Liga, Ligue 1, Serie A, MLS, Premier League, Bundesliga. You got like 6 leagues that you have 6 teams, and it's
got
fine.
options.
You know,
Options are good.
yeah, it's good to have options. Like it's acceptable to be like a Bayern Munich fan and a Toronto FC fan because like they never play each other.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. What do we got? Rule number 9. Thou shalt wear your team's poorly designed jersey with pride. All of our teams have been there. We need to support them through this awkward phase. This is like the teenage years of your team. Think of the Anaheim Mighty Ducks with that cartoon duck playing hockey on the cover or on the front of the thing.
Right.
The Pittsburgh Penguins, I feel sorry for their fans the most. Like every 2 years they have a bad jersey. You know.
Yep. Raptors got the dinosaur for a while, the Barney.
Yeah,
I like Barney. You know, like
now it's considered retro, but at the time, like, what is this? So it's funny how trends change and people adapt. To things,
that's true, yeah. But there's some teams they just nailed it from the get go, right? Like Yankees with the pinstripes, like Montreal Canadiens.
Tottenham in England is a good example. Just the white.
Yeah, Tottenham. Yeah. The
white and blue
shorts.
Very, very clean, and they've had that variation for their entire history, more or less.
Yeah. And then they become a collector's item, and then it's like with the Toronto Blue Jays, we had like these. They were black. They're really hot to play in, apparently, according to players.
Oh, and really?
They had like this like stylized Toronto thing. I don't know what they were doing.
I remember that.
Yeah, but now it's like it has like this cachet in Toronto baseball circles where like somebody has that jersey. It's like nice. There's like the yeah.
And it's a whole business, right? Like, let's be honest. Every year they wait for the new kit to come out, or the new version. Like, it's a big thing. Manchester United is dropping the new 2027 kit, home version, away version, alternate version.
Right. So, I have this thing where I'm always thinking, does the jersey really make you a good player? Like, think about it. Like, if it's Nike, if it's Adidas, Jordan shoe, does it really make you any better at the game, or is this because the team has?
I think a bad jersey makes you an uncomfortable player. I don't know about a good jersey making you a good player. It just makes you comfortable. Like
there's confidence to it, right? You get more of a swagger.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Like if you have like when Josh Donaldson came to the Toronto Blue Jays, he's like, I'm excited to wear these jerseys because I think they look sexy. And he likes them, and so like if you put the jersey on and you love it, I mean you're gonna wear it with pride, and you're gonna have that confidence when you step up to the plate.
That's it. You want to rep?
Yeah, it's like wearing a T-shirt that says "I suck," and everyone
with the cartoon duck on it. Yeah.
So when Jordan wore the first Jordans on the game, and then he was doing really well, it also added his confidence because it's like, I got my own designer shoe.
For sure.
Right?
And started selling in the millions and revolutionized sports memorabilia.
Right.
It's like, I can wear whatever I want now. People will love it.
Yeah.
It helps that was an amazing basketball player. But
Jordan?
You heard of that guy? Michael Jordan?
No.
That tall guy?
I'll share some
links.
Guy?
No.
Yeah.
He's a good basketball player.
Oh, was he that guy in Space Jam?
That's the one.
Right.
The 90s Space Jam, not the LeBron James, the new one.
Yeah. I haven't seen the new Space Jam. I've just seen the...
I heard it's just like...
Yeah, the former baseball player one.
That's the one. I heard the new one's like CGI ADD, just like flashes of CGI everywhere.
Did they lease CGI over like his thinning hair.
I think
LeBron
so, yeah.
gave him a good thick
Poor LeBron.
head of hair.
Just trim it, man. Just
Yeah.
it's over. It's over. You lost.
Yeah. You can't win everything, LeBron.
No. It's okay. You can look good with a bald head, damn it.
It's true.
Embrace it. Embrace it.
I think like if he does that, the bald references to Jordan, because like every time you see like LeBron references, it's always like against Jordan, against Jordan. If he shaves his head, it's just like maybe he just wants to keep the hair because he's like, this is one thing that Jordan couldn't do.
It's a branding thing.
I mean, who is richer, Jordan or LeBron?
Good question. Let me Google this here. Michael Jordan net worth. He is a owner. He's worth 1.6 billion US dollars. He owns part of the Wizards. The Charlotte Hornets. And then
Hornets
LeBron
or
James
Pelicans?
net worth 500 million. So quite a bit.
Wow.
Quite a bit of a difference between
Yeah.
the millions and the billion.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow,
Who
half
would you
the
say
value.
is the all-time best player?
In basketball?
Ooh, the age-old argument.
LeBron or Michael?
I think it's an eras question. Like the game has changed with the rules and the physicality and the types of players and strategies, blah blah blah. I think if you put either player in either era, they will both be amazing. So, but because we don't have that luxury of knowing who would be better, you have to compare it objectively based on the time that the game was played.
Okay, so like we're getting like way off topic, but okay, but I have to know the answer to this question. So if you were to take, okay, so let's play that out. So let's put LeBron into Jordan's era. Who do you think's better?
I would say Jordan.
Okay, so Jordan into LeBron's era, so present day. Who's better?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think I'd still say Jordan.
Okay, and then okay, so both of them in Space Jam.
I'll say LeBron because he's bigger, so he's got and bigger muscles are better in cartoon world.
Yeah, those
CGI
monsters
cartoon
really
world,
push you
forget about
around. Yeah,
more access to resources, man.
that's true. Okay, so I mean,
if you disagree, comment below.
yeah. Okay, so I mean, like the Monstars are way better than Steph Curry and the Warriors, so I would say then LeBron is a better player then, objectively speaking, because he could beat the Monstars better than Jordan could. Yeah,
that's fair. And with that, we're gonna transition to rule number 10.
Yeah, rule number 10.
We're gonna get the cancel culture.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so what do we got? Rule number 10. Thou shalt not become a fan when a big name signs with the team. You're not fooling anybody. You need to buy low, sell high, right? Well, you don't sell, but buy low, right?
We got you.
We got you, yeah. Like, so, I mean, right now, well, if we're talking about like basketball, you gotta like look at the basement, go for the Grizzlies or something.
That's it. That's how you earn your loyal fan stripes.
Yeah, now is a good time to go into the Grizzlies if you're that, or if you're into like the Premier League, I don't know, Nottingham Forest, just buy really low. Hey, they beat Arsenal, so they got something going for them. So those are our 10 rules for fandom. So if you follow those 10 rules, you too could become a fan, or you could just probably just ignore them and just call yourself a fan anyways. We don't have any ownership over that.
So where does the term bandwagon come from?
Oh, is that me to answer that?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So we looked this up online. So it's most likely probably fake or not, subjective. So the word bandwagon was coined in the United States in the mid-19th century, 1855 apparently, in the book Life of P.T. Barnum, which was written by himself. It's kind of a weird title when you write something about yourself. So the word bandwagon was coined by P.T. Barnum, and it was essentially referring to as the circus would kind of move from town to town, they would have wagons that would move from town to town, and you would have these people who would join the bandwagon to kind of go along with them to the next town and kind of continue on the party with the circus crew. And that's where the term bandwagon came from, where they basically had a good time at the circus and wanted that good time to continue, and so they joined the bandwagon.
Makes sense. Hence the bandwagon effect.
Yep.
Which is defined as a term used to describe the tendency for people to adopt certain behaviors, styles, or attitudes simply because others are doing so. More specifically, it's a cognitive bias by which public opinion or behaviors can alter due to particular actions and beliefs rallying amongst the public.
In short, it's just basically our cultural tribal mentality.
Pretty much. We want to fit in, right?
Yeah, we want to fit in. It's really what it's about, When the Blue Jays start winning and making the playoffs, and Bo Bichette and Guerrero Jr. are doing a good job, you want to be a part of that.
You want to check it out.
Yeah.
And I think it applies for other things too, like diets or music or social networks. You want to fit in. You want to be a part of the trend.
Right. Like even with the diet, like, something, the food becomes trendy and then everyone's eating it. Like I remember when kale salad became a trend.
Oh yeah, there's like kale everywhere. Well, I'm on kale diet. I only eat kale. I don't eat lettuce. What about arugula? No, only kale. Where is kale now? Poor kale.
Paleo. Like all these fad diets pop up.
Like even lettuce was a fad.
And then social networking, we have. So apparently, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but I'm sure most of you don't use Snapchat. But there's something they call the Snap Streak, and it's kind of like how Instagram wants you to be active on their platform all the time. And so with the streaks, what you do is you could even to be active on your your whatever app, you always have to post something. So it could be a picture, it could be an emoji or something which you just post. And this allows you to have a streak for today. Say, for instance, you don't want to say anything today on your Snapchat, you could just do a streak. And apparently it becomes a way where the young people, can feel included, not left out. They'll go on family trips and parents would take away the kids' phones or whatever, or they probably don't have receptions. But then they'll call their friends back home to keep their streak alive. So they don't miss. It's interesting.
So to show that they're on it every day, is that the point?
Yes, the whole idea is to show that they're active on their platform.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
So culty to me. But it goes back to that need to fit in, right? Like
right.
Have to be in the in crowd.
Yeah.
Like kind of diverting here, but like, okay, here's an example. Public speaking is the number one fear, or at least it's up there. Like nothing will happen to you physically, but you're still afraid of it. But psychologically, they did research on why it's the number one fear. And it's because the way we evolved in tribes, if you were forced to speak publicly, it was because you had to either prove that you're innocent of some accusation, or they exiled you. So you're no longer a part of the tribe, or you're leading the tribe. So there's a lot of pressure that is built in our genetics.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, we want to fit in. Long story short, it's deeply rooted in us.
That's pretty much what it's all about. Yeah. So,
yeah.
All the local sports team. Only if they're doing good, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, buy low.
Buy low.
Yeah. Go Grizzlies. How are the Grizzlies doing anyways? Are they like...
They're doing good. They're in the playoffs.
Oh, okay. So no, don't buy Grizzlies.
Don't buy Grizzlies.
Yeah. Orlando Magic. There you go.
There you go.
There. You want a good team to go for? Go for the Orlando Magic.
Nottingham Forest.
And Nottingham Forest.
Whatever division they're in.
They're in the championship.
Starter fan. I call it the Starter Fan Club.
I like that.
Poor Nottingham Forest fans, though. They're probably a good loyal bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good folks.
Yeah.
All right. Final thoughts.
Oh yeah. I mean, we were talking about social media. So I mean, if you don't want to miss out on what kind of social media we do, be sure to follow us at favorite social media on Instagram, which is raisedeyebrow.podcast on Instagram, or _ raised eyebrow on Twitter. And we also actually have a TikTok, funny enough, which is at the raised eyebrow. We actually tried to make all three of these the same, but apparently we couldn't do that. So it was an honest effort in our endeavors in social media, but we couldn't make them all fit.
We tried. But still join our bandwagon.
Yeah, but still join our bandwagon. We'll put stuff out there, more of like, snippets from episodes. So you don't have to, if you're pressed for time or want a little sneak peek on what we discuss.
Got it. All right. So final thoughts on bandwagon fandom.
For me, I think where I kind of weigh in on them is that they're a necessary annoyance. Those big name players that come to your club, it's bandwagoners that pay for it. Not the real fans. The real fans paid for the rest of the club. It's the bandwagoners that pay for the big players that bring the championships. And you kind of just have to go with it. But when they win that cup, it'll just mean more to you than it will to them. And then I guess the other thing too is that it also grows your fan base eventually.
My thought of the day is as a fan of every sport, it could be a sport, it could be fashion, it could be music, whatever you want to follow. Always be true to yourself and pick something that really speaks to you as an individual and stick with it, because I think that is more natural than trying to follow what other people are trying to do.
Yeah, it's more genuine. Yeah.
Be authentic.
Yeah.
Be authentic.
That's what everybody wants right now. Everybody else to be authentic. So
be a bandwagoner for authenticity.
Yeah, that's one bandwagon everybody should join is authenticity.
On board for that one. For me, I'd like to see more bandwagoners, quote unquote, just admit that they're curious and that they want to learn more about the team, how they got there. Like, as a real fan of whatever sport, they're willing to talk to you. It's okay to have some humility when you're asking questions about the team that you're suddenly loving, but don't come in with an arrogance or cockiness. And I think more genuine connections can be established within that team's community, because ultimately that's what it is, right? That's why we follow sports.
Yep.
And that pretty much sums it up. Follow us at all the social media places that Alex just told you to follow us on. And remember, kids, sports is a wonderful way to learn all about failure. See you next time.